In your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, you deserve to live your best life. Say goodbye to preconceived notions and let's shatter those stereotypes together. Get ready to own your vitality, because age, well, that's just a number.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today on Age is Just a Number. We have a great episode ahead for us, so don't go anywhere, but take a minute and give us a like and a subscribe, and we're going to get right into it. And Ruth, we're talking today about you, actually.
About me?
Yeah, and you know, we're going to tie it back in for everybody else. And so for all the ladies watching, and for everybody that's watching, maybe you don't know, but Ruth, you are 50 years old.
Yep. At the age of 40, I started bodybuilding, and at the age of 50, I competed in natural bodybuilding, and I represented Canada, and I won the world championship. I won the competition.
Right. So the UFE Women's Physique World Championship.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to Ruth about that, and for all of us. So what I asked Ruth to do was, I said, okay, give me 4 things. What are the 4 key things that that you can say, this is how I got there? Because you might be watching today and you're saying, hey, I'm just sitting on the couch. I need to get going. Or
how do I do it?
What do I do? Or what were some of the things that motivated you that I can use, or tools that worked for you? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get right to it. So if you had to give me the most important thing, or the biggest key, what would that be? So let's back up, okay, and tell me when this key comes into action as well.
Yeah. So the first thing I did, and I do, is set the goal.
Yeah.
And create the plan.
So okay, let's back up. So you're when you started. So you said 10 years.
I was 10 years in.
Was it now 20 years ago? That would be.
Stop. It was 5 years ago.
So for those of you that don't know, Ruth is.
I'm 55, and we're talking about so far back when I was 50.
So when you started training, you were 40.
I was 40. Never picked up a dumbbell until the age of 40.
Okay, so did you have in your mind at that point that you wanted to compete?
I think so. I think it was probably the first year in. And the first year in, I was taken to a local bodybuilding competition, and I looked at all the women on that stage and all those beautiful bodies, and I said, how do I do that? So it wasn't just then going to the gym, it was competing, that next stage. So I actually trained for 3 years before I first competed.
Before you competed. Okay, so let's back up to, you said, number 1, you had a plan.
Have the plan, create, and then so you set the goal, because you have to. I have to have a goal.
So
what's my goal?
So let's back up. So you're going to, you see this first competition.
Yep.
And what's the goal at that point?
I want to step on stage with them. I want to compete, and that's my goal. My goal is to step on stage. I had no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
And so then it was, there's my goal. I want to be one of those women on the stage. And then create the plan. How do I get there? How do I go from this to that? Okay.
So, and then obviously you just keep adjusting the goal. So you win the first competition. Then when did you compete
Well, no,
again?
I didn't win the first competition. I went to the first competition.
Okay.
I didn't win.
Okay.
But, and I competed, my very first competition was what we call an open show. So there was some that were all natural and some that weren't. So then 3 years later, my next goal was, where would I rank, where would I stand in an all-natural organization?
Okay.
Where all the competitors were all natural. And that's because I always was. And so I wanted to see where I would stand. I was curious. Right. So that was my next goal.
Okay.
And that was the show that I won. And I went from amateur status to pro status.
Okay. And then, so as you go along, the goal just gets adjusted each time.
The goal gets adjusted. So actually, in that show, I was 47, and I was just curious where I would be in the all-natural stage, and I thought it would be my last. I was expecting it to be the end. But when I went from amateur to professional, now I had an opportunity to compete internationally and to represent Canada. And so it was like, oh, okay, well, do I or don't I? Because I wrapped my head around, I was done.
Okay.
So I went one more time.
Okay. And obviously we know what happened there. Okay. So number one, and I think this is good for all of us to hear, is you have to have a destination, a goal.
Set the goal, and then how are you going to get there? So that's the plan. So then create the plan. And in my world, competition prep, there's always, three components. The first is what is my diet going to look like throughout this competition prep? What is my training going to look like? And what is my mental state going to look like? A lot of, you can go to the gym and you can train and you can follow a training program, you can follow a diet program and do the diet, but you got to make sure your head is where it needs to be. Mentally, you're where you need to be. It can be really hard to go through that process mentally.
Okay. So number one, set the goal.
Set the goal.
What's number two then?
Number two is put my head down and execute the plan. Don't change the plan. I've got the plan. I know the plan. Just put my head down and execute the plan.
Right. And so that's just, for you, that was putting in time in the gym. That was eventually dieting for a show, but even leading up to when putting in time in includes your nutrition plan and all of those things.
So it's following that nutrition plan, following my training program, and keeping my head in the game, making sure that I'm not, feeling that fear of, oh, can I do this? Am I going to do okay? I know me.
Sure.
I'll just train and follow the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So set the goal. Mm-hmm. Start to walk it out. Number three.
Consistency. Show up every single day. Every workout counts. Every meal counts. So you have to be consistent. I do. And what drives me is curiosity. I want to know if I follow my plan and am consistent with it. If I follow the plan with diet and I'm consistent with it, what am I going to look like? If I follow my training program consistently, what am I going to look like? If I keep my head in the game and I keep in a positive mindset, what am I going to look like at the end?
Right.
So for me, that third one is consistency.
Okay, yeah, and we've talked about that a lot on the channel.
We have.
Like we said, we're talking specifically about how the things that were relevant for you. It's interesting, I did this for myself, which will be in a separate episode, but I don't have consistency anywhere in my points, but it's very important.
Big one for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and the fourth one?
The fourth one is, it was big, trust the process and believe in myself. That's the mental part of it.
Right.
For me. It's the very first time I competed, I messed up because I looked up and I looked out and I didn't believe in me. I didn't trust the process. I would look at somebody else's progress pics and go, oh, they look amazing.
Right.
Now I'm scared. I don't look like that. I would pay attention too much to what other people were doing. My second competition, someone said, oh, well, I eat this. And it's like, well, I should do that. But I didn't trust my process.
Right.
So what I learned is probably the most important thing for me is to trust my plan. I know, and I know me. So trust the process and keep that unwavering sense of belief. And so for me, how I did that was I learned I was actually in competition with myself. I was always at the start of the Worlds, it was, I'm going to do a 20-week prep, create the plan, this is what it's going to look like, show up every day, and trust the process. And the goal is to win, but the goal actually is also to put my best me on that stage.
Sure.
I want to look back at me 3 years earlier, and I just want to see improvements. I compete against myself.
Right.
And if I put the best me on that stage and it doesn't get me that top spot, I'm still so proud that I put the best me on there. So that's what my biggest step in the process is to trust the process. Don't stray from my plan.
Yeah.
Believe in me.
Believe in yourself. Yeah. Very good. Now you have some goodies with
I
you.
do have goodies with me. I do. So these are actually, because everybody wants to see. So yeah, with the UFE, there is the crown. I got a crown. And this is the big medal. This is yeah, you're going for one.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, they're heavy. This is the gold medal. And then of course I have pictures, and I keep this as a keepsake box, but this is the actual suit I wore. So we, as the girls, we wear a lot of bling. This is what we call the Canada suit. So I keep it as a souvenir, and I keep pictures of what I looked like when I had the pictures taken on the stage. So this is something that and often when I look back in life and things feel challenging, this is something I always look at. Bodybuilding has really taught me a lot about set a goal, follow the plan, execute the plan, and do your very best.
Right. So now, maybe one final thing. Now today, post competition and everything else, what does your plan look like? Because obviously you're not trying to pack on a bunch of muscle, and you're not trying to lean out for a show. So what does that look like for you now?
So what I came away with was all the knowledge that I accrued along the way. Because I've been doing this now for 15 years, and I'm so grateful for everything I've learned, diet-wise, nutrition-wise, and learning the value and the importance of maintaining my fitness. So when I say I want to age gracefully, age with grace, I use my bodybuilding to do that for me, to get me there. So I train every day, 5 days a week. I take a rest day. But it's always I'm learning to train for fun. I train because I was very grateful. I walked into the gym in my 40s, picked up my first set of dumbbells, and absolutely fell in love with that venue and that place. And we call it the House of Pain, but it was a place that I absolutely loved and lit my passion, and it still does.
Sure.
So I do it every day because I absolutely love it.
Right.
And today I train with a smile on my face. I don't have my head down like I used to. I do look up. I answer questions if people have them.
Right.
And I share anything I can, because that's important to give back. But I train for fun. I train because I love it.
And I remember you said one time too to me that you're training actually to get smaller, not to get bigger now. Yeah,
I've been 5 years, and so I measure and stuff, and I've lost about 4 inches on each quad, and I've lost about 2 inches on each arm, and I want to get smaller, and
that's on purpose, by the way.
It's on
obviously,
purpose
for those that are.
I don't want to be as big as I was when I stepped on stage, and I don't. My body fat is higher. Like when I competed, it would be at 8%. Now it's about 15%. I'd like to keep it around 12 to 13, so I'm going to tweak myself down a little bit. But it's just, knowledge is power, and the things I've learned in the sport I'm so blessed to have. So it's, but I love being fit, I love being strong, and I love going into the gym. I start every single day for an hour, and I've often heard people say, must be nice, I don't have time. Well, I make time. I get up at 5 a.m. My work day starts at 9, so there's things I do mentally to put myself in check. And then I go to the gym for an hour at 7 a.m. because that's my mental gift to me. And I feel very strong and powerful physically, and I take that out, and now I feel that way mentally when I start my work day.
Excellent. So that's it for today. But you know what? If you have maybe questions that you want to ask relating to what we've talked about today, or what would be great to hear too is if you say, hey, maybe put down what are your top 4 in your own fitness journey. What are your top 4, just like we did Ruth's top 4 things? What about you? Put it in the comments. What are your top 4 things that that are the keys for your fitness lifestyle?
And I think my biggest takeaway, I started at age 40.
Right.
And so, I heard everyone say it, well, you're too old and you can't do it naturally and you can't do this. You can get so hung up on what you can't do, or you can just do it.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. Give us a like and a share, and we'll see you next time.